In this video, we will go over Day 0 provisioning of a campus network. This is our lab topology with 2 splines and 5 leaves. We will provision and configure 2 splines and 3 of these leaves. I've created a dashboard to monitor MLAG status and VLAN statistics from the devices. Initially, the MLAG status on all devices is disabled and there are no VLANs configured. Once the devices have been zero-touch provisioned and baselined with the management configuration, they are ready to be configured via Studios. The first step is to create a workspace where we will stage all our desired configurations or changes. Now that we have the workspace configured, we will start off with the Inventory and Topology Studio. This studio is designed to automatically track the topology of the network using LLDP information. To add new devices, go to Updates. Accept the CVP newly learned updates. Here I am selecting the newly onboarded 2 splines and 3 leaves from pod 1 representing a wiring closet. These devices can now be assigned to any other studio using tags. Next, we go to the built-in Campus Fabric Studio. We add a campus and add a tag here which is associated with all the devices to be provisioned. On this next page, we can see what all devices we are provisioning as part of this studio. Now here we start adding studio inputs. The first section is the MLAG configuration, where we define the peer link parameters such as IP address, VLAN, and port channel characteristics. Next, we add the VLANs, their names and IP addresses. If there is no out-of-band network available, then we could use the VLAN for in-band management. Let's configure a couple of VLANs. Next, we add the campus spline devices and configure them. Specify the spline's MLAG role as primary or secondary. Add SVIs for the VLANs configured on the previous page and configure the warp IP for each VLAN on this spline. Similarly, configure the spline 2 as the secondary MLAG and configure the SVIs with warp IPs. Next, we add the campus leaf devices. Here, as I add pod 1, we can see the devices associated with this tag. On this page, we are configuring 2 of the devices as primary and secondary pairs of an MLAG and the third device as a MLAG member, as per these devices' roles in the campus network. The in-band management IP is the IP on this switch for the VLAN used for device management, which again is optional. One thing to remember is that studios are API-centric. Anything done via UI can be scripted via gRPC or REST API associated with it. All this input that are provided here could be pulled using CVP APIs. In our future releases, we would include the ability to pull this information from an external source like IPAM easily via the UI. Once we are done with all inputs, review the changes that have been made. The input data is compiled to create device configurations and is validated. The inputs get passed to templates and configurates get compiled and validated. We can review the consolidated view of proposed configurations against the running configurations. Here we can see the new VLAN configurations, port channels, and MLAG configurations for all our devices. Check View Build Details to see actual configlet produced by studios. View Modification Details will show all the input changes. Once we are satisfied with the configs that we see, workspace can be submitted. Submitted workspaces combine in the main line to create tasks and change controls in the same way changes to configlets, configlet builders, or images are pushed to devices. Review the changes and approve the change control. Once we execute the change control, the changes get pushed to the devices. While the change control is running, we can look at the live logs. At this time, configlets are being pushed to devices. The change control has completed. Let's look at our dashboard now. The MLAG state has changed to primary or secondary and the peer status shows as connected. We see a few VLANs configured based on the inputs that were provided on the studios. The current running configuration on the devices reflects our changes. As you can see, we were able to build the entire campus fabric using a point and click interface without the need for a CLI or any expertise in configuration syntax.